October 2023 Spotlight on ACR Houston, Conflict Resolution Month with the President, Sheryl Jackson-Matthews. That is your topic for today. Welcome to the Lawyers and Mediators International show and podcast, where we discuss law and conflict resolution topics to educate both professionals and everyday people. Catch regular episodes on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcasts. Just remember, nothing in these episodes constitutes legal advice, so be sure to talk to a lawyer, as cases are fact dependent. Hey everyone, this is attorney Mac Pierre-Louis. I'm a lawyer, a mediator, arbitrator. I work throughout Florida and Texas.
Good afternoon. My name is Sheryl Jackson-Matthews, and I am a mediator, arbitrator in the state of Texas.
Awesome. Cheryl, welcome back. And you're used to this episodes because you've been here multiple times before talking about the organization that we're both a part of, ACR Houston in Texas. And Cheryl, just remind people briefly a little bit about the organization and why they should join, because we're going to talk today about some things that ACR is involved in, like Conflict Resolution Month. But why don't you just give people just a few seconds worth of information about the organization?
Actually, the Association of Conflict Resolution here in Houston is really a subset of a larger organization, and that's Conflict Resolution International.
Okay.
What we do is we bring people together who are like-minded, mediators from all walks of life. Some are attorneys and some are not. And we learn together, expanding on conflict resolution theories and practices. We have an annual conference every year. If not, then we go to the international groups conference. Um, so it's a very, very important part of a mediator's uh, portfolio to be a part because you learn so much and broaden your skills uh, when practicing mediation.
Awesome. No, thank you so much for that. Just yesterday I was part of a Facebook Live event. We were talking about one of the things that mediators should seek to do. And one of the conclusions was you got to get yourselves around other mediators. And so that's one of the purposes that ACR Houston exists for. It's to be a place where different mediators from, like you said, all walks of life can come together and learn from
Mhm,
each other, best practices, and coordinate together, even in a way, market together, so that
mm,
the public can know that we exist and we're there to help whenever they're facing some kind of conflict in their lives.
mhm.
So, thank you again for the work you do in the organization. And
You're welcome.
yep. And so, next, we did. If you're new to the series on ACR Houston on this channel on the podcast, be sure to go back in time to see other talks that we've done in the past. I know the last one we did was a little while ago because we missed a couple months, but we had done one on peer mediation with mediator Darcy Thompson. And so Darcy was, fortunately, nice enough to give us her time where we talked about peer mediation, school mediation, and how this kind of conflict can affect children. So be sure to go back and check that out if you're interested. But for this month, we're talking about Conflict Resolution Month. And it's, there's a month for everything, it seems, Cheryl.
Mhm,
And there's a day for
mhm.
everything, like
Right.
National Siblings Day and National
Mhm,
Hockey Day. But
mhm.
conflict is something that is pervasive, right? It's in all our lives. And a lot
Right.
of, and what we want to do is we want to master how to resolve conflict. That's why it's called resolution of conflict.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
we have a month that's dedicated to it. But why don't you
Mhm.
tell us what is Conflict Resolution Month? Um, and I guess could you start with ACR Houston's? foray into it? Why is it important to ACR Houston? And tell us about what it is.
Conflict Resolution Month is a part of what we celebrate, which is Conflict Resolution Day, which is observed on the third Thursday in October every year. And this year, Resolution Day falls on the 19th of October. What we try to do during this time is recognizing that conflicts tend to arise in many areas of our lives, such as workplaces, relationships, and family.
Yeah.
It is unavoidable that we run into conflict. But what's important uh, is how to resolve it.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't have to be nasty. It can be resolved through peaceful methods. And that's what we try to promote um, every year during this time.
Yeah. So ACR tries to promote it along with other organizations. I
Right.
know before we started recording, you were sharing one organization that's promoting Conflict Resolution Month, and that is, and I'll share my screen. If you're listening to this audio, be sure to check out the YouTube version for the screen share, and hopefully it'll come up just fine. But of course, the first website is ACR Houston's own website,
Mm.
ACRHouston.org. So if you're not used to it or if you're interested in joining, so be sure to check it out. You can subscribe and you can join to become a member of ACR Houston. It's always available, not just for mediators, but arbitrators as well, and um, the public. So if the public wants to find mediators or learn about events that this organization is doing, be sure to check out acrhouston.org for all of that. Next, I'm going to bring up Sam Houston State University, which is one of the institutions that you had me share that is celebrating Conflict Resolution Month. And on their website, they have a conflict resolution pledge that they are promoting amongst their students. And apparently, they are the Bearcats. That's their, school mascot or whatever. I'm originally from Texas. I went to University of Florida in Gainesville, so I'm a Gator. But so I'm not completely used to all the different universities, out here in Texas. But in on their campus, they're promoting Conflict Resolution Month. So wanted to kind of go through some of these points on their Conflict Resolution Month pledge. But go ahead, take it away, Cheryl. Let's talk about this.
um, I guess I can't see your screen extremely well.
Yeah, I'll be able to read it.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
yeah, Conflict Resolution Month pledge. I will assume good intentions, taking the time to put myself in other person's shoes. What does that say to you about conflict? Assuming good intentions.
Well, it means that you don't go into uh, your conflict, if you will, with unclean hands or have an ulterior motive. That means that you are true to yourself and the person that you are in conflict with because you come to the table and earnestly want to solve the conflict.
Yeah. The yeah, good intentions. I just wanted to add we have the idea of assuming goodwill, right, on the part of other people. That other people
Mhm.
don't necessarily mean us harm, but that they might be hurting and they may be reacting to us, because of some perceived slight on their part. And I think that's a big lesson for all of us. We all need to take that away. That whenever we're in conflict with other people, we need to try to think and imagine goodwill on their part. It's hard, right? I don't think it's an
Mhm.
easy thing to do, especially when somebody's hurt you. You're
Mhm.
going to naturally think that they intended you ill will. So, but would you agree with that? Do you think that as humans, um, we have a hard time doing that first thing, which is assuming goodwill on the part of the other?
Absolutely. Our behavior um, in humans is such that, unfortunately, we tend to judge,
Mhm.
and before we do anything else, that person hurt me, or he or she is whatever. Um, but to go inside of your mind, actually, and look for solutions to the problem, sometimes we have to go within ourselves. And going within ourselves in this situation means that we have to make an assumption
Yeah,
and that's putting aside whatever harm you feel that person has done to you, putting aside all of that and assuming that the person did not mean you any ill. The person really um, had a particular behavior that maybe you misconstrued.
yeah,
So we have to go in our own minds and really check ourselves.
yeah. That's the only
Hmm.
one we can control in all of it,
Right.
right? It's
That's right.
ourselves, and I think
Hmm.
in family law, which is what I practice a lot, I see this, quite a bit. And in Doug Noll's book, De-escalate: How to Calm an Angry Person Down in 90 Seconds or Less, it talks
Hmm.
about how when someone comes at us and they're attacking us, try not to listen to the words, but listen to the emotion behind
Hmm.
it. And assuming goodwill, that's it's a hard thing, but it can be done, and it's one of the tools that we all need to try to um, you know grab hold of and make it work so that we can
Hmm.
resolve the conflict that we find ourselves in.
Right.
Okay, number two, I will be patient with others as we work collaboratively. How does that fit into conflict resolution? Being patient.
Actually, anytime we uh, try and actually control our behavior, uh, that challenges us to do just that. Um, and it's really difficult. It's very difficult, especially again, if you're hot and angry and you make the determination, oh, that person did this to me. So we have to remember that people don't do things to you. What happens is you choose every emotion that you emit. So therefore you have a choice. If somebody says something, you have a choice of accepting that as being mean, or you have a choice of saying that person did not do that directly to me, or I choose not to be angry, or I
Mhm.
choose not to retaliate, or whatever. It's all in our hands, and I think that's one of the things that is very important when we talk about what we need to do in terms of controlling ourselves.
Yeah. What about the next one? I will listen to others with an ear toward understanding. How does that fit in?
Right. Again, in any relationship, when you communicate, you have to go into it with uh, the sense that I am listening. Because oftentimes, when we are communicating with someone, we're not listening to what they say.
Correct.
We are thinking about what you
Yes.
are going to say in uh, uh, to answer or to give your solution, or if you're debating back and forth, your next plank.
Yeah.
Um,
Do
so
you think that in the relationships between men and women that men tend to be the ones to want to like mansplain right away, not really listen, but have a ready answer. Oh, I already know and understand your problem. Just without actually listening to her. Do you think that that's a big factor?
Exactly. Exactly. Oftentimes, because of a number of reasons, culture, uh, differences, um, it goes on and on. Sometimes people, and men aren't the only ones that do this in a relationship. Oftentimes, women do it in a relationship, and they feel that they have more to contribute, or the man feels more that he has more to contribute than what the speaker is saying. So they check out for a moment,
Correct.
and the other person is still talking, but they're gone. They're
Well,
on their next.
oh, no, absolutely, and to be an equal opportunity offender on all genders, I was thinking the other day that never underestimate a woman's ability to, in the heat of the conversation, pull back something that happened 5 years ago and bring it back into the present and use it as
Mhm.
an attack tool. I've experienced that personally, and so I just think both genders are going to have their issues, but listening to the other and assuming goodwill, as we've been talking about, is probably a
Mhm.
better safe place to start.
Exactly.
Okay, so the next one, I will model respect and courtesy in all my communications. What do you think about
Mhm.
respect and courtesy when you're communicating?
Absolutely. Respect is so important, because if you don't respect the person that you're dealing with, at least respect the position, meaning president of ACR. You might not like the person, but you should respect the office. Um, but yeah, respect is a very important tool, because uh, in communication, when you're condescending, uh, when you're curt, when you are when you cut people off when they're talking and don't say excuse me,
Yeah,
that's disrespectful.
yeah,
And people do it all the time in communication. So we have to be mindful of that, and practice it really as much as possible.
yeah. What it brings to my mind is, um, I will model respect and courtesy. There's a book out there called Love and Respect. It's a faith-based book that talks about husbands and wives and marriage, and how without, basically, the idea is a cycle, right? Without
Mhm,
love, she responds without respect, and without being respected, he responds without love, and then it goes on and on and on, and on a crazy cycle, as the author calls it. And
mhm.
so it's like what you put out, people are going to take in. But if it's negative, someone is going to want to react negatively back, right?
Right.
And so
Mhm,
this is why the solution then is for somebody to be the bigger person and break the
mhm,
cycle and say,
mhm.
I'm not going to respond in kind. That's a
Right.
very hard thing to do when you've been wounded and hurt, because you're going to naturally
Exactly.
want justice. It's a
Mm,
human thing.
mhm, mhm,
So, yeah, that's the thing. Model respect and courtesy, even though they
mhm,
quote unquote don't deserve it,
mhm.
right? Because they don't go
I
along.
I agree, and I have one other thing to add to that, and that is, I always say jokingly, but no, seriously, when I talk to people about conflict, and actually getting to the bottom of it, I encourage both male and female to come to the mediation, wear your big girl underwear,
Mhm.
wear your big man underwear.
Yeah,
And what that translates to exactly what you just said, Mac, and that is taking the higher ground,
yeah,
come as an adult. And that's difficult as well to do. But I can assure you, if you put some of your reactions aside and come uh, with a very adult attitude about it, you'll be much better served at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The
Mm,
things we've seen in family law, and we tend to talk about family law relationships whenever we talk about these things, but this
mhm,
affects other types of relationships. Okay,
mhm,
next one, the big one, the one that's highlighted on here, and I will
mhm.
attack problems, not people. I will attack
Wow.
problems, not people. How does that fit into conflict resolution month? Like, why is that an important takeaway that we should all remember? Attacking the problem, not the person.
Um, it is, again, I keep using the word difficult to kind of change our behavior in mid conflict or amidst a conflict. But separating the conflict from the person is also very difficult to do because in your mind, where you again trying to defend yourself, and people want to be heard, okay? So in your mind, while you thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna get her back, or I'm gonna get him back, or um, let me think of something that I can reply and be one up or play one upsmanship." That gets you nowhere. That is a rabbit hole. And what the mature person does is look at the issues in the relationship or look at the issues in the conflict. And when you start to uncover the issues in the conflict, you'll determine that at least you can make recommendations for a solution to those things.
If
Attacking the person, you'll never ever get to a solution because it's a round robin.
correct. And so the best way to then address this as a starting point, I'm guessing, would be to have a neutral person involved, like a mediator,
Absolutely.
so that
That's why we have mediators, huh?
correct. So like is I guess in the statutes in Texas anyway, I believe it's in Florida as well. The legislature put in place, the concept of parent facilitators, okay, and
Mhm.
parenting coordinators,
Mhm.
people who exist to basically help parents co-parent better when it comes to communication. Kind of like the same reason we use these parent communication apps, like talkingparents.com, Our Family Wizard, and things like that. It's
Mhm.
because we're trying to help people communicate better, even
Mhm.
though they're gonna wanna attack naturally,
Mhm. Mhm.
because they were wronged. Um,
Mhm.
what what do you think? There was another thought I had going along with that, and this is why I have my notepad and my pen next to me,
Mhm.
but I was like, "I'm just gonna hold this in my head," and I forgot it.
Mhm.
But but why do you think that is highlighted, okay, on the screen? That I will attack the problem, not the people, the person who wrote this. Why do you think that that's the big deal?
Personally, I think that's a big deal because uh, attacking the person means whether you attack them verbally, that's hurtful to them, physically, obviously hurtful to them. That doesn't solve anything because at the end of the day, when you attack a person, your problem is still looming. It's still there.
Mhm.
So, but on the other hand, of course, if you attack I'm sorry, I have it backward, but on the other hand, if you attack the problem and not the person, you can peel layers off the onion, if you will, and start with the big problem and you keep laying back or identifying the issues with the problem, then you can find a solution to the problem. So that's what we do in mediation actually. We facilitate the conversation in such a way that we try to get the parties to a mutual place with the issues.
Yeah.
And with personal attacks, I know what I do. Um, doing mediations electronically is a great thing because I can always mute someone.
Correct.
And if they're going off, you give them a couple of warnings, and if they don't adhere, then I mute you.
Yep.
And because it's important that you stay focused on trying to uncover the issues, not trying to be, berate a person. Um, it gets you nowhere. And I think that's why the author made that
Yeah.
one of the planks. Yeah. Hmm.
Yes, and I'm definitely going to reach out to the university and send this video to them just because kind of give a little shout out. Hey, we talked about your y'all's thing here. But I do remember what I was gonna say, and that is how that connects to something you had mentioned, which is that we all have a need to be heard. And I
Hmm.
think that that is a fundamental human trait, right? Like whenever
Hmm.
you go through pain or some kind of trauma, and then you're not given the opportunity to be heard because
Hmm.
you want redress, you want to address the issue, especially if you're wounded.
Hmm.
That need to be heard sometimes is the genesis for why you attack.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to, you know, have somebody remember in their outcry, hey, pull back,
Yeah.
right? It's hard to do it to yourself. I
Hmm.
think you might find someone you can try to calm down, and this is why books like De-escalate exist, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but it's a very hard thing to do to oneself. So I think that's why mediation is so important because it gives people a safe place
Hmm.
where another third party neutral can help facilitate a conversation where you can express and give voice to your pain without the other person being hurt, abused, and wounded and wanting to strike back.
Right.
But if you're doing that yourselves and there is no
Hmm.
third party neutral to assist you,
Hmm.
can you
Hmm.
imagine the blow up that might ensue when you try to do that
Exactly.
yourself? Okay.
Exactly. Hmm.
Okay. And so hiding the title because the last, well, there's two more. I'm a human, so I will falter. When I do, I'll take responsibility for my actions. And I will provide the same amount of forgiveness and understanding to others as I expect others to provide to me. So those the last two things. I'm a human, I'll take responsibility, and
Hmm.
I'll provide others the same forgiveness that I expect for myself. What were your
Exactly.
takeaways for that?
Well, both of those again are very important tools f- to have. Being human is very, very important. Or we are always human, but acting as a human and explaining that you might make mistakes, and we're all human. We cannot expect people to um, not make mistakes. It's just innate in us.
Correct.
And but what's more important is owning up to your mistakes.
Exactly.
Um, with the current political environment today and the issues that are going to court in several jurisdictions today, people need to own up.
Yeah.
If you did something wrong, own up and say, okay, I did it.
Yeah.
I accept my punishment. Um, don't keep dragging it on and on, because it takes a bigger person to own up to their mistakes, good or bad or indifferent. It takes a bigger person to do that.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, I always want to be the bigger person.
Yeah.
So,
No, absolutely. That's a
mhm,
big deal. Taking responsibility is definitely a sign of maturity, but
mhm,
it's hard. right?
Yeah.
Being it's part of
Mhm.
being human again. We don't want to admit sometimes, but I think that that's more of a self-reflection thing because
Mhm.
ultimately nobody can make
Mhm.
you, right? Nobody
Of
can
course
make
not.
you, and
Mhm.
uh, and even at the mediation table, the mediator can't get you to admit it's going to be between your heart and your creator.
Mhm.
So last one, really, I will strive to promote peace in all aspects of my life. Well, that's kind of the conclusion of all of it, right?
Right,
That
right.
we need to live in such a way where we promote peace. And I think if we start with ourselves and we try to promote peace within our own relationships, whether it's with our children, our loved ones, our coworkers, and people, random strangers out there in
Mhm.
society that we might run into,
Mhm.
that it'll make this world a much better place, to
Oh,
live in.
absolutely. Mhm.
Okay. So that's the screen share I wanted to share. And thank you so much, for your thoughts and your wisdom, because you've been a mediator for how many years?
More than I care to share.
So yeah,
Yeah,
so
about mhm.
you've seen it all, and you've seen
I
all the
No, I've
interactions.
not seen it all. I've seen a lot, but not I've never seen it all, but,
Yes.
yeah.
But ACR Houston, not just ACR
Mhm.
International, but ACR Houston's, big push is to promote this as part of Conflict Resolution Month. So we're celebrating it, and we encourage others to celebrate it. And if they have, conflict in their lives and they need a mediator, that's where they go, right? ACR Houston, if they're in the Houston area.
Right,
And if they don't come to us, we encourage people to go somewhere else and seek resolution to their personal conflicts, whatever it might be.
right. Our
Well,
website, by the way, is ACRHouston.org.
yes,
Um, and you can find us online. Again, if you are looking for a mediator, email us, or if you have a uh, question or you just want to elaborate sometimes, getting it out is good. So, you know,
absolutely.
give us a shout and we'll get back to you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Cheryl. So this wraps up another spotlight on ACR Houston month as we promote this month's theme, which is Conflict Resolution Month. And thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome.
until next time, everybody, be sure to check out more of the series Spotlight on ACR Houston month. And take care. I'm just looking for my little outro button here. Okay, guys, take care. Until next time. Bye
Take
bye.
care. Bye.